Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, and it's time for my very last Halloween story for this year. I really hope you guys have kind of been enjoying this little series I've been doing. Molly's talking. There's a dog running around outside, and she's like trying to have a conversation with him. Molly, he's gone. He doesn't want you. He left. Maybe it was a she. She had on a pink collar. I really don't know, but they left. Come here. Come here. Playboy! Look at that. It's so cute. Cute little jacket. Okay, so. We have Molly, and she's going to be quiet because it's story time. It's story time, and nobody wants you to talk. And nobody wants you to talk. Okay, so, anyways. My last ghost story for this year. And again, I hope you guys have been enjoying these. Let me know in the comments below if there's something you want me to do next year. And I'll probably do this all in like a playlist so that, if somebody finds these or whatever, you can see them all. Anyways, getting the dog situated. This is like my very first experience, I suppose. And it was definitely a night in a haunted house, definitely. But not haunted in like a scary, in a scary bad way. So I was 5 years old, and at the time we lived in North Carolina, and we would travel through to Indiana to spend Christmas or holidays or whatever with family, and then travel back. And I have an aunt who lives in Tennessee. She lives in Salina, so shout out to no, is it Salina? No, we had family who lived in Salina. And my grandmother, my great-grandmother that we're going to be talking about, she lived in Salina like her whole life. My aunt lives in, what town is this? Not that this matters for the story, but it's, I can't think of it. It's not Cookeville, it's Livingston. My aunt lives in Livingston, and we would stop at her house on our way through from Tennessee, and this was my first time. No, this wouldn't have been my first time staying with her, but this was the first time it was just me and my mom. I think this was the first time it was just me and my mom. I'm not sure, because we stayed at her house several times on our way through from North Carolina to Indiana. We would stop at her house overnight and visit with her and sleep there, and then get up and continue on our travels, and we'd stay there both ways, from Indiana to North Carolina and from North Carolina to Indiana. And this particular time, my dad wasn't able to come because of work, and it wasn't winter, so it was like summer or something. I don't know. I don't know the reasons we were coming to Indiana, but it was just my mom and I that was traveling through. And we stopped at my aunt's for the night, and again, I was 5 years old, and we stopped there to stay the night. I'm going to get readjusted real quick. Okay, so we stopped at my aunt's house to stay the night, and my aunt had inherited all of her mother's things, so that would have been my great-grandmother, and she just had, in the spare room we slept in, she had all of her handmade quilts. She had like this really cool-looking quilt rack that hung from the ceiling, and had all of the quilts on it, and she had a lot of my great-grandmother's furniture and jewelry. So there was just a lot of my great-grandmother's things, especially these quilts that were very special to her because they were handmade. It was something that she spent a lot of time on and made these quilts. And a little side note for this, I never actually met my great-grandmother, but my mom was really, really, really close with her, and my great-grandma was really excited to meet me when my mom had me, but at the time my mom lived in Hawaii. My dad was military, so we traveled a lot, and at the time my parents were stationed in Hawaii when they had me. So my great-grandmother never got to meet me, but she's seen photos of me, and she was really excited to meet me. My parents were making arrangements to come back to Indiana for a visit after they had me, so that like the family could meet me, and my great-grandmother was going to come up to Indiana, or she might have already been living in Indiana at the time. I'm not really for sure on all of that information. I think she'd have been living in Indiana. She died at the Tipton Hospital. And like I just mentioned, she ended up passing away. It was kind of sudden out of nowhere. She was fairly healthy. She went to the hospital for something. I like a headache or something. I don't know. But she had a blood clot that was like, oh, that's what it was. She had like really bad leg cramps. And she went to the hospital over it, and it was a blood clot, and it shot up to her brain while she was in the waiting room, and it killed her pretty much instantly. So she passed away before she ever got to see me or meet me. I mean, she's seen a photo of me, but that was it. And that, we think, is kind of what caused what happened. So I was 5 years old. We were traveling from North Carolina through for Indiana. We stopped overnight in Tennessee at my aunt's house to stay the night. The room we were staying in was a room full of my great-grandmother's quilts. And again, my great-grandmother had really wanted to meet me, but never got the opportunity to do so. So we just think that being in a house full of her things, especially things that she spent a lot of time on, really helped maybe channel her spirit or energy to the house. And I was sleeping, and my favorite thing is to have my back scratched. Like, and if you scratch my back, like, I'm probably gonna pass out. Like, that's just how I am. And my mom and I were sleeping in the spare room. The spare room had 2 little day beds in it, one against each side of the wall. So like, there's one on this wall, one on this wall, and there's like a walkway between the 2. And I was laying in my bed, and I was sound asleep, and I started feeling what felt like somebody scratching my back. And I just thought it was my mom. So like, I kind of woke me up a little bit, kind of opened my eyes, and I look over to my mom's bed, and I see my mom laying in bed, sound asleep. I'm like, this is weird, because like, the wall's here, like nobody could be standing on the side. It's like, I roll over and I look up, and I see an older woman looking down at me, and she's translucent. Like, I can tell she's wearing kind of like a older style floral dress, which of course at the time I was 5, so like, I knew it was a floral dress, but I didn't know it was something from like the 40s type of dress, 30s, 40s type of dress. Floral dress with an apron and her hair up in a bun, and again, she's kind of see-through. She's kind of smoky grayish type, like see-through, but I could still see a lot of detailing. And she just smiled down at me, and I had like the best feeling of just like peace and being comforted, just kind of washed over me. And I just turned my head back around and went back to sleep. And that's all there was to that. That was my first experience. It wasn't anything terrifying. I just felt a complete sense of comfort and peace and fell back asleep. And in the morning, and I wasn't terrified or scared or anything. It was really kind of cool to look back on, and I remember it so vividly. And in the morning, I woke up and I told my mom about it, and my mom was like, "Oh, you were dreaming," kind of brushed it off. My aunt was like, "Yeah, you must have been dreaming, you know, whatever. We don't know what you're talking about. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, how could somebody be standing there? And, you know, your mom was asleep, and my aunt was, like, in her bedroom sleeping." So they just kind of brushed it off. And so, and I should mention, I keep calling her my aunt, but she's my great aunt. So she'd have been my great grandmother's daughter, and it would have been my grandmother's sister. So, because this was my grandmother's mother that I saw. So, anyways, it was kind of like, oh, you know, you're little, you're sleeping, whatever, don't worry about it. And we traveled on through to Indiana, and we got to my grandmother's house. And we were all in the kitchen visiting, and I look at the fridge. And I'm like, "Mom, this is the lady that was scratching my back last night." Or not last night, but like the night before. I don't remember if we went straight through. We probably did, because it was only like a 6-hour drive. So, it's probably like, you know, this is the lady that was scratching my back last night. And my mom goes over and looks at the fridge, and she looks at her mom and, like, tells her the story that I told her about, you know, seeing this lady scratching my back and stuff. And my mom was like, "That's your great-grandmother." And then she explained to me how my great-grandmother had really wanted to meet me, but never got the opportunity to. And that, you know, her really wanting to meet me, coupled with being in a room full of her possessions and things that she worked really hard on, must have, like, channeled her spirit or made it easier for her spirit to be there. And then after that, like, they believed me. They were like, "Okay, this happened." So, I don't know. That was my first ghost experience. My first night in a haunted house. And I had other experiences in that house. I don't know that I want to get all into them, because I know some people are tell me I'm crazy for them. So maybe we'll save that for next year. But yeah, that was my first ghost experience. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this storytime video and all of these little ghost stories I've been sharing with you guys for the month of October. I hope you guys have a really happy Halloween and really enjoy your trick-or-treating, if that's what you're doing, or your Halloween activities. I hope you guys enjoy anything you're doing. Let me know down below. Do you guys have any plans for Halloween? Are you going out trick-or-treating, going to a party, staying home, handing out candy? That's what I'm doing. I'm going to be staying home, handing out candy. Halloween might have already come and passed by the time you see this video, actually. So, what did you do for Halloween? I'm posting this on Friday, which will be like the last day of the month, I think. Not really for sure on that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you're not already. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.